Warning: the Hayes Nation may stimulate personal growth and prosperity. Participation is strongly advised.
Well, today on the show, we are talking about AI and its impact on our lives. And then later on, we're going to talk about dealing with AI deep fakes. You're not going to want to miss any of this, and it starts right now. All right, well, we've got a lot to get to. This is a very intense show. We're going to try to cover a lot here. First of all, welcome to the Hayes Nation. We are broadcasting from the Bama One podcast studio in the great state of Alabama, and welcoming you aboard wherever you are. Now, if you want to reach me, it's George Hayes at USA.com. That's right, George Hayes at USA.com. I want to hear your story. If you are living the life of faith, freedom, and prosperity, I want to hear it. Tell me your story. And if you're struggling, you're not sure what to do, well, that's what we're here for. We're trying to give you information. I want to hear that story too. And as always, I ask for you to try to give me at least one or two ideas of what it is you're going to do or you're trying to do to get on the right track. And as always, this show is about you, the American people, and the things that we face every day. And who knows, I might put one of you on this show. So, and listen, if you want to follow me, I'm only on one platform for social media, and that's X at Real George Hayes. And then last but not least, go to the HayesNation.com. HayesNation.com. Become part of the Hayes Nation. By going there, you're going to join a community of like-minded individuals, just like you and me, who believe in faith, freedom, and prosperity. You're going to find all the episodes for the show there, plus tools and information to help you in your journey. And, look, you can encourage other people. You can find support. I'm constantly updating it. I want to help you build a life of purpose and prosperity. So let's just jump right in. Okay? Let's talk about AI. Okay? Why understanding AI matters and how it matters for your future. Artificial intelligence is no longer some far-off thing. It's here and it's moving faster than a lot of us realize or we can keep up with. And today, in this first segment, we're going to talk about reading AI, understanding it, learning to understand what it really means so you're not caught flat-footed. Now, the truth is AI is touching every part of our lives. Our economy, the jobs we choose, our faith, and even the freedoms that we hold dear as Americans. And look, I use AI. I use AI every day. Now, I will tell you this, I don't trust AI as far as I can throw it. I have lots of arguments with it. It lies to me. It placates me, tells me what I want to hear sometimes. And I have to really prompt it and continuously update my prompts in order to get information. And then I have to double check that information before I use it. It is a great tool, and it has come a long ways, but it's far from perfect. Now, look, I'm not here to scare anybody. I'm here to prepare you The same way I prepared myself back when I was climbing the ladder. I started off as an entry-level installer, climbed my way up the ladder to a VP position, eventually owning my own business. You have to learn as you go. You have to be able to be willing to pivot and adapt. Now, you either learn the new tools or you get left behind. That's just the reality. And I remember when fiber optics and high-speed data first came into being, a lot of the old timers, they fought it. They were used to working with copper and the old phone networks, and many of them just got passed over and left behind. Me personally, I did everything I could to learn as much as I could, and that choice changed everything for me and my family. Now, let's start with the economy. AI is already automating a lot of repetitive work. And I'm not going to dive into all the different types of things because hopefully you already understand and know about a lot of these things that we're already seeing that have become automated. But it does mean big changes. And some reports are saying that it could affect up to 25% of all work hours in the US. Did you hear that? It could affect up to 25% of all work hours in the US. That's human work hours. 1/4 of all human work hours. Now, that's a lot of job shifting. That's a lot of, trying to figure out what you're going to do if you're in that 25%. But here's the part that I think most people miss. Running these giant AI systems takes enormous resources. And I personally don't think we're quite there yet. I understand that the pundits out there and, the Elon Musk of the world, they think it's just right around the corner. But there are some issues, okay? The first one is we're talking about massive amounts of electricity and fresh water to cool these huge data centers. And some studies show a single large AI data center can use as much fresh water in a year as a small city of 50,000 people. Now, my question is how does the public react to that? Well, let me give you a couple of examples. Saline Township in Michigan, this is 2025, 2026, it's ongoing. Residents and township officials strongly opposed a massive 250-acre AI data center project. It was proposed by Related Digital and Oracle and OpenAI. The main concerns were skyrocketing electricity bills and enormous water usage for cooling. The developer sued the township that voted against the project. The township eventually settled, winning some concessions like limits on water usage and investments in local fire service and buildings. But residents continue to voice frustration that the project will strain local resources. And so, what are we? We're trading off a few shiny fire trucks to look the other way while the water and while electricity rates go up and water usage also goes, while water goes down and there's a cost to, municipal water. These are the very types of conversations we have to be having. But if that's not enough, let me give you another example. Mount Pleasant, Racine, Washington. Okay? Microsoft Data Center in 2025. Environmental groups, which was Midwest Environmental Advocates and Milwaukee Riverkeeper, filed a lawsuit against the city of Racine to force disclosure of projected water usage for Microsoft's new $3.3 billion AI data center campus. Microsoft's facility is expected to pull millions of gallons from Lake Michigan every year. Now, the city initially refused to release the numbers, citing confidentiality. The lawsuit, though, succeeded in bringing some transparency, and residents remain concerned about the precedent for other data centers in the area. And these are real concerns. And I have one more for you. Millard County, Utah. Now, advocates and residents are raising the alarms, and this is 2026, are raising the alarm that over 2 large-scale AI data centers announced in 2025, one touted as potentially the biggest in the country. The county itself is already in severe drought, and critics worry the facilities will drain limited water supplies for cooling. Public pushback includes calls for stricter regulations and concerns that the projects could worsen the drought situation for local farmers and residents. Now, those are just some examples of what's going on. And that's why this is a very big issue. Where is all of the power going to come from? How are they going to cool it? We'll get into some of those answers here in a second. Now, utility rates are already climbing in some areas, and experts warn that the power demand from AI could push costs even higher for all of us. So while AI creates new opportunities, it also comes with real economic costs we all need to be smart about and concerned. And while, yes, it does create jobs building out these enormous data centers, do these initial jobs end there? I mean, that's a fair question. It's a construction project, and then that's the end of it. So it'll have some boost to the local economy in the beginning, but once the big data center is built, that's it. Those jobs go away. Now, there is talk of making the AI companies provide their own power, and any residual power not being used can be sent back to the grid. That has some merit. We need to learn more about it. Other plans include, placing these data centers in orbit around the Earth where they can be cooled in space, in the vacuum of space. All of this is very expensive and it's time consuming. So while we've seen great leaps forward, the future is really not that clear, at least not in my opinion. A 2025-26 analysis shows that job postings requiring AI skills are paying about 23% higher salaries on average than similar roles without those skills. But here's a word of caution, at least from this commentator. Even many of those AI-related positions will likely be replaced by AI itself. It is very unclear where this path leads. Now let's talk about your personal career choices, because really what this show is about is about building prosperity. So we need to talk about your career choices. If you're in a job that involves a lot of routine tasks, data entry, basic analysis, and even some customer service, those roles are likely to change. But here's the good news. Trades like healthcare, hands-on work, and anything that needs real human judgment and empathy are going to stay strong, I believe, for a very long time. The key is to use AI as a tool instead of letting it replace you. Learn to work with it where you can, and that is how you stay valuable and keep your freedom to earn a good living. Now, I've seen this play out in my own industry, the old industry I was in, telecom. When The cable business went through big changes. The guys who learned new technology stayed in the game and actually did better. The same thing is happening right now with AI. The people who fight it or ignore it are going to struggle. But the ones who learn to work with it or around it while keeping their faith and values strong are going to build real prosperity. And unfortunately, I can't cover it all in this one particular episode. So we'll dive deeper as we go as to when I say working around it and keeping your faith and your values strong. We'll get more into that in future broadcasts. Now, me personally, from a faith perspective, we have to be careful here. AI is powerful, but it's not God, and it never will be. We can use it, like right now, I use it to spread the gospel faster. I help more people, or analyze scripture in new ways. But we cannot let it replace real human connection or prayer or the wisdom that only comes from the Lord. Technology is a gift, but stewardship means using it wisely and keeping God at the center. And I'll be honest with you, this is a fear that I have. I don't believe that in these giant corporations that God is at the center of any of it. It's all pure greed, rush to be first to the market, and to create their super AI systems that they believe will eventually dominate everything. And finally, there's our freedom. Now, in America, we have the liberty to innovate and to build. But we also have to protect that liberty. If big tech or government gets too much control over AI, they could limit opportunity for regular folks just like you and me. And you may have to speak up, engage your representatives, and ensure our liberty is not stolen from us by greed and corruption. This is very, very important. That's why understanding AI matters. So we can speak up, stay informed, and make sure this powerful tool serves people instead of controlling them. And I'm going to repeat that. We need to make sure that this powerful tool serves people instead of controlling them. Now, in my opinion, the bottom line is this. I wouldn't say fear AI. I would say stay up to date. You need to learn it. And if possible, use it as a tool to build the prosperous life God has for you. The people who adapt with faith and determination will thrive. And there are lots of people who are using it for good throughout the internet. The ones who ignore it, they may struggle, or even worse, they may be left behind. Now, coming up, we're going to talk about dealing with AI deepfakes. I mean, it's bad enough with all the scrolling we got going on and all the information coming at us. We now have all of these just incredibly realistic looking deepfakes. We're going to talk about that in the next segment. I'm your host, George Hayes. I'll be right back.
You're listening to the George Hayes Radio Podcast.
I want to take a moment to talk about something important, and that is the blueprint to success. A lot of people think it's some great secret, or that success is reserved for the lucky few. Let me be clear, it's not about luck. It is about the choices you make every single day? Are you investing in yourself? Are you surrounding yourself with the right people? Are you taking action even when it feels uncomfortable? That is what success looks like. Showing up, doing the work, and staying focused on your goals. That's why the George Hayes Radio Podcast exists. We're here to give you the tools and motivation to take that next step, no matter what that might be. So here's what I want you to do. First, hit that subscribe button. Second, go to hayesnation.com to join a community of people just like you, folks who know that success doesn't happen by accident. And finally, share this episode with someone who needs to hear this message. Keep doing the work. Stay focused. Surround yourself with the right people, and your success story will happen.
Hayes. The George Hayes Radio Podcast wants to hear from you. Tell us what motivates you or describe that obstacle standing in your way. You could be featured on an upcoming episode. Send your story via email to georgehayes@usa.com. That's georgehayes@usa.com.
Okay, welcome back to the George Hayes Radio Podcast. Hey, listen, if you want to reach out to me, it is George Hayes at USA.com. George Hayes at USA.com. I want to hear your story, whether you're doing well or you're struggling. I want to hear your story, and who knows, maybe I will put your story on the air. Maybe I'll even invite you to come on the air. That's what this show is all about. This show is about people like you and me working together to build a life of faith, freedom, and prosperity. So that's George Hayes at USA.com. If you want to leave comments, we're on YouTube, and you can go to the George Hayes Radio Podcast. Leave your comments there. Follow me on X at Real George Hayes. It's the only social media platform that I am available on. And last but not least, go to hayesnation.com and become part of the Hayes Nation. Join a community of like-minded people who believe in faith, freedom, and prosperity. And there's always lots of tools there. I'm always adding things to help you in your planning. Okay. So let's first of all, before we get into this, let me give you our scripture today. And that's 1 John 4:1. Okay? And it says, "Dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world." Now, for me personally, this reminds me for us to be discerning and not automatically trust everything we see or hear. We must test it carefully. We can apply this in this age of intentional mis or disinformation. I mean, whichever one you want to call it, or from whichever perspective you're looking at it. AI deepfakes, digital deception, and with so many bad actors, we must protect our minds, our decision making, and most importantly, our faith. Now, let's get into dealing with AI deepfakes. This entire broadcast today is just focused on AI. And trust me, we're going to do a lot more on AI. This is the 10th episode, and we're getting close to finishing up laying the baseline for the topics that I will generally cover. So today, I wanted to kind of get into this topic because AI is affecting all of us, right? So, and one of the things in AI that's affecting us is the deception with the quality of information that can be created. by AI. So we're moving into something that, in my opinion, is becoming a real problem. And these can be videos, audio clips, images that look and sound completely real, but they are 100% made up. And in 2026, they're getting better every single month. We've already seen these deep fakes used in scams, political lies, and even corporations in their announcements and the way they're using AI. We're seeing it everywhere. And I have to tell you, before I go any further, I do my research, and I don't like to do a lot of scrolling, to be honest with you, but I have to do it for the show because I feel like I need to know what I'm talking about. And what I see in comments are, oh, that's fake. That's not real. I can't believe that they're doing this. That is really dumb. Try again. And to me, what it seems like is that there's an anger building by people who are getting sick and tired of these fakes. And then we have all these people, and I don't know if they're real people or bots that are posting them, but it's just this influx of just one fake thing after another. Now, sometimes it's done as satire or, for amusement, but a lot of times it is meant to deceive. So we already live in a world where, we have people who spread lies, misinformation, they distort reality, but they now have this new weapon in their arsenal. And this is why I've always warned you about the constant scrolling, and be careful what you read and what you're seeing, and have a very serious distrust, especially for social media. But I mean, even mainstream media is doing this as well. So it's very difficult to confirm. The technology is so good now that regular people are having a hard time telling what's real and what's fake. And that's dangerous, because when you can't trust your eyes or ears, it messes with everything. All your life decisions, how you invest your money, even the root of your faith. So, how do we protect ourselves in practical terms? Well, I believe the first thing you need to do, and this is just my opinion, is slow down before you believe anything. And always check the original source. Look for the small tells. Eyes that don't blink naturally, lighting that looks off, or shadows in the wrong place, or on the face. You can see these little things. Or audio that doesn't quite match up with the lips. Also, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. This is what makes mainstream news and social media so dangerous. We don't know who's using these deep fakes and who isn't. And depending on the amount of money you have and the ability to spend on the higher quality AI, you could put some pretty convincing and damaging stuff out there and get a whole entire group of people to go in a direction. That's why here, look, this show is about faith, freedom, and prosperity. It's about building wealth in many ways, not just money, spiritually, health, physical, everything. And we need to focus on things that are good for us, things that help us move forward. So we've got to really pay attention and try to find ways to discern what's real and what's not. Now, as a side note, other than studying for this show, I don't really spend, quite honestly, a lot of time looking at news or social media or any of that stuff. I actually run a small farm, and most of my time is outside. I spend a lot of time working the farm. And if I have a pair of headphones on, I have a set of headphones on, I'm listening to music. I'm not listening to this stuff, to this noise. I don't care. I'm focused on continuing to do the things for my family that matter. Now, there are free tools out there, like Microsoft's Video Authenticator, or InVid, that can help you check in seconds. And for anything important, money, voting, family decisions, always double check with at least 2 trusted sources. Now, I don't know what your trusted sources are, and I can't sit here and list a ton of trusted sources. You need to find sources that you trust and that you know are reliable. And, in fact, I'm going to make a programming note for myself to see if I can't put together a list of trusted news sources. That could be a tough one. But when I say news, I'm more interested in financial news, to be quite honest with you. Now, if the story is not running, say, on mainstream media, and I'm talking about both the liberal side and conservative side, if you don't really see it at the top pages, but you're seeing this deep fake somewhere on social media, and oh my God, this person did this, or this happened, or that happened, and you're not seeing it in the headlines, it's likely false. It's another way that you can tell. Now, in 2025 alone, deep fake related fraud attempts jumped dramatically. And of course, 2025 is when we really saw AI really take off, right? And experts are predicting that over 8 million deepfakes will be shared online in 2026 alone, this year. So the bad guys are getting better at this fast. Now, let's talk about jobs. The good news is there's still plenty of jobs AI will have very little impact on for a long time. And these are roles that need human touch, physical work, or emotional intelligence that match it, that machines, they simply cannot copy. So what are they? Nurses and healthcare workers, especially pediatrics and elderly care. Skill trades like plumbers, electricians, HVAC technicians, and welders. And look, if you know me and you've heard me on this show, I love the trades. The trades are a great way to go. They pay well. There's demand, and AI isn't taking over these positions anytime soon. We also need teachers, counselors, and pastors, construction workers and farmers, therapists and personal care roles. Now, the therapist, funny thing, it's on my list here, but it's teetering on not being on my list because there are all kinds of online programs that I'm not 100% sure are actually true therapists and not AI being paraded as a therapist. But we're going to leave it there for now. Okay? Now, most of the jobs I've mentioned, they require empathy, hands-on skills, and on-the-spot human judgment. Now, AI may be able to assist, but it can't replace them. Now, when the cable industry went through big changes back in the 90s, okay, and into the early 2000s, they were converting from what was coaxial cable, single conductor cable, over to fiber optics, okay? There were a lot of people who fought the new technology, and they got left behind. The ones that leaned into it and adapted, well, they stayed in the game and they actually did better. The same thing is happening right now with AI. The people who fight it or ignore it, they're going to struggle. But the ones who learn to work with it while keeping their faith and values strong are going to build real prosperity. Now, I mean, just as an asterisk here, those people who work outside of it in the trades, as I previously mentioned, they'll do just fine. They don't necessarily need to embrace it, although I would encourage that you stay on top of it and understand it and where it's going. And there are some uses for it in your personal life that can help you. For me, it helps me a lot with my Bible study. It helps me keep everything organized. So it does have that use for me. And let's see. Let me tell you something else here. This is at the core of American freedom. Okay? We have the liberty to learn, to innovate, and to protect ourselves from being fooled. But that liberty only works if we stay informed and we stay sharp. Don't let deep fakes steal your peace or your ability to make good decisions for your family. And one more thing I want you to think about. AI doesn't just make deep fakes. It makes regular mistakes every day. Okay? AI can lie to you. To me, and I mean, sometimes I think it's hallucinating. And it just makes stuff up. Or it gets lazy and tells you exactly what you want to hear instead of telling you the truth. I've seen it myself. I've tested it. I mean, I have put my AI to the test, and sometimes it gives the most confident sounding answers that are completely wrong. And a lot of that has to do with prompting and verifying sources. You cannot trust that whatever answer it gives you is the correct answer. And that's why we have to stay sharp and never treat AI like it's some all-knowing God. It's not. Now, the takeaway. Learn and understand AI so you can use it as a tool. I can't see a downside there. But stay sharp on these deep fakes and its other weaknesses so you don't get fooled. Protect your mind, protect your money, protect your freedoms. God's given all those things to you. Use them. Now, for those of you who doom scroll or spend countless hours following news story after news story, you're getting caught in the trap because a lot of these deep fakes are there. Major influencers, big corporations, and even in our own government, they're all peddling fear, doubt, and unbalance in the world. Our job is to not fall prey to this abomination. And that's right. Yes, I use the word abomination because when it's used for greed and manipulation, that's what it is. Now, I'm going to share something with you. And some of you might find this a little disturbing. Okay? These are the top 5 digital habits people spend time on when they're on the internet. Okay? The first one is short form video doom scrolling. You heard me just talk about that, right? It's TikTok to, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and it's endless scrolling and zero finish line. It just never stops. The other thing is social media validation loops like Facebook, Instagram, and X. It's dopamine hits disguised as connection. Also, there's pornography, one of the most consistently high traffic categories globally. It's a massive industry driven by instant gratification behavior patterns. Let me just finish. Before I comment, let me just finish. Number 4, streaming and binge watching. Netflix, YouTube's long form. One episode turns into 5 hours, right? And then finally, there's gaming and virtual escape. Online multiplayer, mobile games. It's achievement without real world progress. The best way, in my opinion, is to limit screen time to that only benefits your long-term goals, your education, and building faith. Ignore the rest. It's all noise. And let me tell you, the corporations, the influencers, all of these people, they know this. AI is, to them, the ultimate tool to bring you in even more. Up until now, they've used browsers and advertisements and all their little gadgets to bring you in and to keep you coming back. And AI is just a force multiplier. And you need to be aware of that. This is why I talk about scrolling as being a problem all the time. And for those of you watching the video, I do this. There they are, scrolling. Now, that's it for today. I hope this information helps. I hope it helps and inspires you to chase your dreams, not someone else's, or what some dark corner of the internet wants you to believe. Some AI-generated, fake, bogus thing that's dragging you in. Be diligent. Focus on what really matters. Make wise and informed decisions. And may God bless you. And remember, until next time, keep that train rolling down the tracks, because the light at the end of the tunnel, well, it might just be you. I will see you next time.
It's time to smash that like button and subscribe. To share or leave comments, log on to YouTube at the George Hayes Radio Podcast or visit us online at HayesNation.com.